Hello and welcome to another weekly episode of the Beer Fridge Podcast, your home of real beer, real breweries, real opinions. On to this week's episode, what is an Oktoberfest beer? And we kick off the Fridges 2024.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Yes, your home of real beer, real breweries, a real opinion, the Beer Fridge Podcast. As always, whenever you listen to this episode, make sure you subscribe, hit that ding-a-ling-a-ling to be notified of every single episode. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you do it the same as well. You can show your support for the podcast by giving us a 5-star rating. Even better, drop us a wee review as well. Helps out with all the algorithm and stuff. But you can show your official support by heading to patreon.com/beer Fridge Podcast, getting access to every episode early and some homebrew as well. Patreon.com/beer Fridge Podcast. My name's Gavin. I've got my usual drinking friends in the form of Callum and Scott. Good evening, boys.
Good eve.
Guten Abend, meine Freunde.
Indeed. And we'll start off as we normally do.
Let's go around the table.
And let's find out what we're kicking off today's show and go round the table and see what's in our glassware this evening. Mr. Muir, kick us off, son.
Yeah, well, as Gav alluded to in the intro, I still think that's quite narcissistic, the fact that Gav isolates himself and at the start of the episode, but we'll just gloss over that. We are talking all things German, at least in part for this episode. So I've decided I'm going to go with the fact that the shop that I was in didn't have any official fest beers, because I totally know what a fest beer is, and I'm totally across all things fest. But I'm German this evening. I'm coming to you just south of Munich from a wee place called Tegernsee. And I'm drinking Tegernsee Hell, which is a 4.8% Hells, and it's just perfection, really, isn't it? I mean, look at that light straw colour. Ignore the incorrect branding on the glass. At least it's for the right country. And it's just, it's crisp, it's clean, it's soft, biscuity. It's a slight bit of floral, as you would expect. And it's just tremendous. Lovely.
Sounds good. Watchers, or viewers, I should say, on YouTube will notice I'm not in my usual backdrop as I normally am. But I am in Llanelli in South Wales and felt like I should have as much as I can local-ish beverages as possible. Feeling Full Brewery, based in Wales. I have got their Double Dragon, which essentially is a bitter, so I would mention this before we're recording. It kind of pours like a best, and that's when I say it's bitter, you would expect that. But you're getting those super malty. You can see it's kind of that red, that proper reddy colour, red ambery colour. Wee bit of kind of toffee maltiness coming through. To be fair, it's icy cold, and I was saying this. I found it weird the last 2 nights being away with work, and the beers that you would normally see on cask have been on like kegs, so like Doombar, and this one this evening, like these are ones I would normally probably traditionally see in a cask, and they've been pouring out of kegs, so they're becoming it really cold, which has kind of blown my mind a wee bit. But nonetheless,
maybe it's. I was just going to say, maybe it's because the casks would go bad on the long horse and cart ride to Wales.
Probably. Very true. But no, it's all right. It's a decent pint. It's going down well. I've got a couple other local South Wales breweries to dive in, and one questionable choice from Morrison's, but we'll get there at some point this evening. Gilroy, what you got?
Beer Gavin.
Excellent.
She'll
work.
be over the moon to know I'm having a wee. I'm trying to get. You know what I'm trying to do? I'm visiting the Bodleian Library here to figure out how to say the name of the place. If that makes sense.
Don't know, wee Google
I
pronunciation.
don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. An accent by. Here we go. Oh, just videos.
Mr.
Good.
Hobbs,
That's good.
who's
Any
sunning
chance you
himself
just
on
saying it?
TVs.
Absolute goober. Anyway, I'll have a bash at it on my own. I think it's Vien Stefana, which is it's one of your classic Bavarian owned breweries. It's the state brewery owned by the Free State of Bavaria, located on the site of a former monastery, apparently, as
There you go.
all good ancient breweries, or many good ancient breweries, are. Apparently, its tagline is the world's oldest brewery, although Wikipedia immediately follows that with, although this is not historically verifiable. Apparently, the foundation year was 1146. A document dating back to 1040 resurfaced. Who knows? It's old. This is their fest beer, which is their beer specifically for this time of year, as Callum knows all about. It's a beer brewed by the Big Six. Different, obviously, they each have their own slightly different take on it. This is a 5.8% number. It is 200. Apart, on the website, they even tell you just how fat it's making you. So apparently, these beers are 225 calories, which is hefty. Apparently, we are looking for in colour, which I've got in spades, deep gold, luminous in the glass. From the very first sip, the full-bodied flavour is immediately perceptible, a balanced harmony of hop and malt aromas, and that's pretty much exactly what it is. You get really good head on it to begin with. It's proper golden in colour, but that kind of straw-like character to it. It does have a bit of heft and depth of flavour that you don't expect to your kind of mass-produced or general lagers. It's got a bit more of although it's golden still, it does have a bit more of a malty character to it because it's brewed specifically for Oktoberfest. It's obviously it's round about harvest time or post-harvest time in it, so it's the perfect kind of using the malt to its absolute best. And like I say, it's at nearly 6%. It's got that kind of oomph. It does suggest on the website serving it in a Masskrug, which is a mass is the specific dimpled tumbler that they used. So it is not a stein. It's called a mass, and that is the liter jug or tumbler that they serve them in with a handle on the side. So the stein is a kind of general term for anything with a handle on it that they serve beer in. And a mass is the specific dimpled tumbler that they have at Oktoberfest that you would associate. You've got one for Hofbrau or whatever it is, or Lohenbrau, that you've seen plenty of times and probably picked up, if not seen in fucking various charity shops and stuff on your travels. You'll have seen a mass before. But that's what it's called, if you didn't know.
There you go. There you go. Every day's a school day. Sounds good, mate. Sounds good, though. Right then, let's check out some of the latest news from the craft beer world and find out what's new and what you should be looking out for.
News update.
While the boys do some furious Googling to see what they want to inject into this week's news segment, I have got some fucking stunning news for listeners and lovers of the Beer Fridge podcast. As you may know and may remember, we went down to Stuart and did a craft beer kitchen with them and did a was it 7.2 or 6.4? What was the ABV again?
7 point. No.
7.4?
7.4. What's what we were aiming?
7.4% West Coast, the big Westie we went for, and I just had notification this evening from Lewis and the team at Stuart that it is ready to rock and roll this week. So, listeners and pundits of the and lovers of the craft beer podcast, Beerfish podcast, Jesus Christ, another one. That's a different podcast altogether. Can go down to the Stuart Brewing, go to their kitchen there, and they can sample some of our beer that we made with Stuart. So looking forward to that. That'll be good fun. So get yourself down there and check that out. Give us a taste. Get a review up as well, and send some pictures. Fingers crossed. Ideally, and I would love to, if we get enough pictures coming through, we'll do like a winner. We'll pick one of the pictures out and we'll send some goodies to that person's way. So if we get enough, if we only get one, there's no point doing it. So head over to Stuart and sample some of the West Coast. All the Seas will be available this week. Who's finished their Googling?
I've got a funny one.
Go on then.
That kind of, it goes to show the sort of, what I say, woke culture.
Love it.
It was a story from Holland where a mechanic was doing his civic duty and was obviously in a museum, either as a patron or an employee, but discovered two beer cans lying in the museum and decided that to do his civic duty and recycle, and threw them in the bin. Little did he know that these two crushed Jupiler cans were actually an art exhibit entitled "All the Good Times We Spent Together." So basically, this guy, this artist, Alexandre Lavette, has crushed up two Jupiler cans and sat them on the flare, and that is his artwork entitled "All the Good Times We Spent Together." And this guy flung them in the bin because he thought it was rubbish. And they were saved. You'll be happy to know they were saved from recycling and installed back into the museum for everybody to be amazed by. So if you're in Holland, go and see All the Good Times You Spent Together, or just go to any kind of news agents and buy a 4-pack of Jupiler and drink them. Probably be better use of your time.
No, not a hard.
That's like the exact opposite. The usual, like the guys in like the Guggenheim or whatever that go and like take their shoe off and leave it lying there to see how long, like, and then sit over the other side and watch folk bend in and start taking pictures and stuff. Yeah, it's the exact opposite. That.
This guy's like, oh, I shall recycle this rubbish.
He's just like,
It's not exactly a hard piece of art.
I wonder if you get a there's a deposit return scheme on Jupiler cans. You don't know.
It's the maxi cans, the 50 cl cans. So
big oil can numbers.
Nice.
Yeah, good stuff.
Very good.
Well, here, shout out to that guy for doing a bit for the community and try to recycle. Good on him. An artist, I mean, fucking Jesus Christ, have a word. Gilroy?
Mine's just a quick plug for a friend of pod. So, Johnny Garrett of Beer Writers Guild fame and Craft Beer Channel fame, as a well-renowned beer writer, has now is ready to release his 4th book on the 7th of November. Placing hints for any beer lovers who are looking to get Christmas presents secured, make it a book that's worth reading. So give links to pre-order or order Johnny's book. This one's called The Meaning of Beer, which is an epic adventure across the globe in search of the surprising ways that beers help found, shape and change society, exploring remarkable stories from the building of the pyramids to the invention of the fridge, the rise of the Nazis as well, to the battle against climate change that will make you rethink beer's place in the world. The book will be published in hardback on the 7th of November. And there's going to be an event at the Sutton Arms on the 6th. It'll be an informal drinks and snacks evening up until from 6 p.m. till closing, featuring many of the beers talked about in the book. And it's Johnny that's running that. So if you're at near the Sutton Arms, you can nip in and see him in person. I'm assuming he'll do a bit of talk about the book and stuff. But yeah, if you're looking at kind of dropping hints for anybody for Christmas presents, the meaning of beer, I've got all his books, I think, or at least 2 of them so far, and they're both excellent. So they're both I've got, and they've both been Christmas presents, I think, or birthday gifts. So definitely pick it up. Cover looks cool, and I'm assuming the story will be a good one as well. He's a great writer, so quite captivating. And it's, even although he's talking about beer, which obviously you'd think if we talk about it every week, we might have scraped the bottom of the barrel. We've definitely not. Johnny's stuff's always really insightful and really takes you on a proper journey, and it's jumping all about the world and obviously through history as well, which is really cool.
It's beer from a different perspective, isn't it? It's it's like almost, not quite tenuous, but it's how can you what is beer's place in various different other stories, which is really interesting.
Aye, I'm really looking forward to having a read at it. And great job, Johnny. I know, well, I don't know because I've never written one, but I remember having written how much a slog it is to write 4,000, 7,000, 14,000 words for being able to sit at peace for long enough to be able to write a full book, and 4 of them is a triumph massively. So yeah, catch that, grab it, pre-order it, get hold of it however you can. 7th of November.
Therefore, hats off, Johnny. Go and grab yourself a copy of that. Obviously, we'll put some links out as well. Definitely worth getting your hands on it when it comes out. All right. You heard it at the start of the podcast, and you heard Callum kind of. We've all teased it so far during the start of this episode, and obviously we're kind of at the start of October, which means Oktoberfest beers, and there's this subject has come up this evening on this podcast from just purely because of a group chat conversation today, which fucking snowballed rapidly. In terms of what is an Oktoberfest beer, is it just a German beer? Is there actual Oktoberfest beers? Because Cal, you posed the question this afternoon on the group chat, and it literally went fucking daft between you two.
Well, it's any excuse for Professor McMillan to give a lesson, really. And
you Google quickly.
Well, but it's welcome, you know, and Gav had mentioned on the group chat maybe doing an Oktoberfest, and I wasn't in a position to buy any different beers last week, so I kind of pushed it back. I went into our favourite high spirits in Dalry today and picked up various different German beers, completely ignorant of the fact that, you know, Oktoberfest beers are an actual thing. You know, I'm aware of, you know, generic brewery making a fest beer and things like that, but it's always been, in my mind, just a brewery's excuse to brew a German beer in October and call it a fest beer. I didn't realise that it was an actual thing, and Scott was quite happy to enlighten. But before we go into that, because I'm not drinking an official Oktoberfest beer, I'll get my beer that I've moved on to out of the way. This one is also by one of the Big Six, as they're called, but I'm sure we'll get an explanation of what the Big Six are. This one is from Spaten, which is German for spade. That's why there's a spade on the label. Nice. And this is their Müncher Hells, or Müncher Hell, it's called. And when you go onto their website, very poetically, it says, on March 21st, 1894, at a time when the people in Munich and nationwide only enjoyed dark, sweet malty beer, Spaten brewed the first Munich Hell as a pioneer of the category.
Dark what? Dark sweet?
Beat malty beer. So, but this is, I mean, see if you said you can only ever drink this beer for the rest of your life, I think I'd probably be all right with
that. 100%.
You know,
it's incredible, isn't it?
Look at it. It's just, it's clear, it's light, fluffy, but also crispy, and it's just, I mean, I don't think you can get much more of a glowing endorsement of saying I've had one sip or one mouthful of this beer, and I think I would be happy if I didn't have to drink another beer ever again.
It's not even that. It was your face you made when you opened it and you pulled it. And it was just, what?
Just
And
the
obviously
smell, it's
wafting.
just, and for an inside joke, it actually says the word Schultz on the bottle. It's fucking tremendous. And they've got a wee slogan here which I've quickly googled and translated. And the German is Lass dir Ratten drink Spaten. And translated that means let me advise you, drink Spaten.
Can you say any clearer than that, right?
No,
How German a statement is that?
I'm no one to ignore an instruction given to me by a German, so that's
Certainly not.
Fair play. Gil, you moved on?
I have indeed, but I've moved on to just purely for shithousery reasons, moved on to a beer that is exactly as Callum originally described what a fest beer was, or what he thought a fest beer was. So I'm currently drinking Don Zoco's fest beer.
Avid listeners to the podcast will recall a number of weeks ago I made a rather sweeping statement, having not sampled that many German beers, but if you want an Oktoberfest beer or a German style beer, drink a fucking German beer. Drink a beer that's brewed in Germany or brewed in Munich or brewed, don't drink a British brewery interpretation of what a German beer should be. Just drink the real thing.
What I would say is that I think this might be the exception that proves the rule. I decided to forgo almost everybody else's version of a fest beer, and I know there's a few. We did try Barney's, which I thought was a great beer, a lovely lager. It was excellent. In terms of UK breweries, and it was because I don't think I would necessarily have picked up a can, maybe I went with her picking up the stuff that we did get, Carl, the post-mortem, things like that, would have been my go-to for from Barney's and in a pub, probably a Volcano. However, Don Zoco, I think, given that lager and foamy beer is their absolute forte, if you're going to trust anybody in making an October or a fest beer, if you like, then I would say they would probably be the ones I might kind of say, right, okay, you guys have a bash at it. And when you look at the description and everything on it, it's the king of Don Zoco lagers is his description. Pilsner malt, a little Vienna and Munich malts. It's decoction mash. So that's a big tick and an absolute bugger. It's got Tettnang and Blanc hops. It's a beer worth celebrating. It's on the can. It's labelled as 5.6%. It's absolutely superb. It's got a bit of a deeper colour than some of the other
it's quite
beers that
it's
we've
a bit cloudy.
Yes, it's got a bit of a kind of
Haze.
That kind of crafty, kind of slight haze to it. But I think it's an excellent beer. It's really superb. It's got a good depth of flavour, slightly something different, a bit more kind of, probably as with all things crafty in the UK at least, for our drinkers, it's a bit more hop forward, I would say. But everything else about it is matching up pretty perfectly to the style. But I just thought I would buck the trend and say that they would be the exception that proves the rule. There's a few people in the UK I would trust to make a fest beer that are good at lagers. Don Zoco's one of them.
Yep.
So what marks are a fest beer or an Oktoberfest beer over a beer from Bavaria, like a Hell from, that's traditionally from Bavaria anyway? What marks it out as being different?
It's effectively the time of year it's brewed is probably the simplest explanation. So an Oktoberfest beer is a special style of beer that's brewed specifically for Oktoberfest celebration in Munich. According to regulations set by the city of Munich, only 6 breweries are allowed to brew and call their beer Oktoberfest beer within Munich at least. Obviously, we've seen there's other fest beers and Oktoberfest beers or Oktoberfest style beers are out there, but the big six are Paulaner, who we know pretty well, Spaten, Hackershaw, I think that's right. I think the P's silent, I don't know. Augustina, who we've had, Hofbrau and Lowenbrau, are allowed to brew Oktoberfest beer, and it must meet the specific criteria to be served at the official festival. Its characteristics, it started originally, it was all Mürzen, as Mark takes great pleasure in saying, comes from the German word for March, because the beer was historically brewed in March and stored in cool cellars during the summer to be consumed in the autumn. That's why Mürzen is called Mürzen. Amber, malty flavour, medium to full body with a smooth, clean finish, and alcohol content between 5.8 and 6.3. Modern Oktoberfest beer, as they've moved towards a lighter golden lager style, often called a fest beer or a Wiesen. I think it is Wiesen.
Right. Weissen.
Or Weizen. Weissen, meaning meadow in Bavarian, referring to the festival grounds. It's pale golden colour, slightly sweeter, less malty than the traditional Marzen kind of style, lighter in body but still strong at about 6%, and it's easy to drink, making it ideal for large-scale consumption over several hours. There you go. It must be brewed, obviously. It wouldn't be German without Reinheitsgebot being in there, the German purity law being mentioned, and in summary, it's flavourful, smooth, originally rooted in the Mürzen style, but increasingly served as a lighter fest beer at the festival itself. It's a hallmark of Bavarian brewing tradition and it's crafted specifically to complement the celebratory atmosphere of Oktoberfest. There you go. So normally by the big six and high ABV, previously a darker kind of maltier looking beer, more traditional, and then as you mentioned when you were looking up your spat and stuff as well, moving to that kind of lighter straw coloured stuff, which obviously matches the lighter gold colour and straw colour that Callum's got in his glass at the moment. So it's just, I would say, probably the same as your other normal German Munich style lagers or hells that you're getting. Yeah. It's probably got a wee bit more malt forward flavour, probably slightly lighter in colour if it's 2024's version of it, although there will still be Marzens out there that are brewed traditionally and given out at this time of year. And oomphed up percentage in comparison to Callum's 4.5, 4.4, 4.5%, 5% number. I mean, the ones that I've had have been kind of nearer the 6% mark. That's it.
Yeah. I think
the lesson.
Going by that description, then the colour of your beer is kind of more on the money. Whereas I'm
leaning traditional.
I'm kind of drinking the more lighter traditional pale.
I think it's got to be specific. I think it's at the festival. If you've seen any of the videos or whatever of the festival of them, whether it be them running at tables sober before they start, or getting carted out of there for having fallen all over the place, or for some reason they love the funhouse thing that used to go on at the shows.
Yeah.
See the Daft Funhouse thing where they have to carry them up the hill for whatever reason. I'm like, it's just an escalator. Like, go to the airport.
Aye.
It moves slightly quicker in fairness, and obviously it's a wee bit. I can imagine it's a wee bit more difficult when you're 5 or 6 masses deep. But obviously, I mean, it looks like a cracking event. Now, if you've seen any of the videos or seen any of the stories, ex-Arsenal goalkeeper Jens Lehmann, who decided in his lederhosen to go full bore and then get behind the wheel of his car and get lifted, you'll see that people can take it a bit far. However, it does that. I would say would be the exception. The majority of people are obviously enjoying themselves massively, and the food and stuff looks incredible as well.
Oh, the food looks tremendous.
Sausage for days.
That's one thing. Just to, like, when you're in bottle shops and stuff, just to keep an eye out for, like, if you are looking for like Oktoberfest beers, all those things that Gil mentioned, like you can pick up a German beer that's not necessarily an Oktoberfest beer, so just keep. But
it'll be in amongst that section. They'll have that section of whether it be their German beers they've got in generally or their Oktoberfest stuff. It'll all be together in the fridge, probably with some of those kind of light blue and white squares seem to be on everything. Like, you know what I mean? The kind of bunting style blue, like blue and light blue and white squares everywhere. That tends to be the marker, especially for the Oktoberfest kind of things in all the pubs and that. But by all means, try your local brewery's version of a fest beer. I think you'll get somewhere near the spirit of what they intended. But if you want the actual deal, then go for get one of the kind of big six breweries, if you like, and it's traditional stuff. Most places, I mean, I go to the shop, the farm shop next to a garden centre to pick up my German beer always, and they had a really good selection. They've always had a really good selection at the place we go, but it's selling it really quick. Like they had
no wrong to be
under
honest. See, a lot of times in like if we've nipped in garden centres and stuff, they've always got those types of stuff in the big bottles. That's what I've seen. That's where I've seen quite a lot of them as well.
Hey, it's a good. I mean, always got them. Places farm shops and things like that will tend to have it. If somebody's going to reach out at this time of year in particular to grab beer and sell it in their shop that they wouldn't normally have it, Oktoberfest guaranteed to get somebody coming in. I'll pick up a couple of them when I'm in.
Right.
It's a no-brainer. The Hackershore one in particular is a good. You're going to grab a few because it's got the Grolsch style swing top on it. The Hackershore version, it means it's got that. If you're you're having folk round and you're having a few balls or whatever, it's got that pop when you pop the bottle. It feels and it looks a wee bit more traditional in terms of style. Pick up some of that. It tastes great. They all taste great, but that one in particular I thought was really good. And then hopefully that'll be a gateway for you into some of the regular stuff like Callum's picked up. Don't sleep on German beer if you get the chance to pick it up. It's what the majority of your craft brewers and stuff like that are drinking on a day when they've just finished brewing or whatever it is. If they can get crisp, cool, freezing cold, really good quality lager, they'll bite your hand off for it. So if you want to brewers go for drink that.
You look at the beers that I bought, and they were 350, 360 each, which for a half litre bottle is of imported beer. It just goes, we need to go to Munich and get that stuff fresh.
I know.
Oktoberfest.
Can you imagine the podcast for Munich? Goodness me.
Oh, be a mess.
Get it in the calendar. Get it in the this is what I've learned. This is what I've learned from beer festivals this year. If we get it in the calendar, then it kind of comes as a surprise later on.
Very true.
Oh, what's that? It's been in the calendar. It's been in the calendar. Sorry.
It's in the work calendar. It's already in there. Another thing that's in the work calendar, and we're whizzing through this episode, is the Fridges 2024 and the People's Choice Brewery of the Year award. Last year we had 64 breweries that entered, that whittled its way down all the way to one, and the winner in the form of Bayonet Brewing. Again, congratulations to them. But we swing around to this year, and it all kicks off once again at the end of the month, and we need to whittle God knows how many breweries we've got in our head down to 64. And then just going through last year's list, and it's picking out breweries who, because we like to try and at least keep breweries that we've at least had on the podcast, or we've sampled their beer throughout the last 12 months. And also like breweries that are relevant, etc., to make sure it's a fair enough kind of group of breweries. And I've picked out a couple of breweries and names from the 64 from last year's, and for us it's to have that conversation, right? Should they still be there? Should we replace them with ones that weren't in it? And I think this is our opportunity to kind of whittle this list down from probably in our heads 120 to what it should be, a solid 64.
Yes.
So first,
any's ever heard of Budweiser? No, Budweiser. What? You ever heard of them? No. Should they be in?
No. Oh, however, what should be in is Budvar. Christ.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Are we?
If
we ever been UK Brewery of the Year?
Oh, that's true.
You're inviting the likes of your big Yankee Doodlers to come
Yeah, no, you're
wandering
spot
in
on
your
there, Gilroy.
equilibriums and things like that. So I think we'll go with UK People's Choice for
Yes,
the Tag
as
Team
quickly as
Championship.
Budvar was written down, it's been quickly scrubbed straight back out.
I mean, if we decide to do the European Championship, they can definitely be in with a shout. But that's as we all know, that's a lesser belt. So.
Aye, exactly. I'll go with the list of breweries I've picked out from last year's 64, and they're more as of a question: should they be there? Should they not? And again, this isn't a detriment against the brewery. It's just a case of we've not had enough of these beers, I think, and it's posing that question: should they be in? Should they not? And this is in no order whatsoever. I've just went through the list and done it one by one.
It's the ones Gavin hates the most.
It's not. It is not, because you can't say that with this first one I've picked out. McCall's.
I've not had any McCalls this year, and I think that is to my discredit, because I remember how great the beers were, and I remember how great the chat was.
The same can be said for Elusive. They have been elusive this year for me.
Is that because you've been striving for new, though?
Potentially, Scott. Yeah, and this is what I was alluding to in the discussion that we had shortly before we started recording. We need to also be cognizant of the fact that it is people's choice, and we need to put those choices for their delectation. And just because we haven't managed to sample a certain brewery this year, it doesn't mean that they haven't still got a presence in the industry and that they aren't still enjoyed by a loyal following or an increasing amount of people. So we need to be aware of that as well.
So what we're saying for McCall's then? I've not had any this year. Thing is, I know I'm saying this and I can hear fucking Mark's fucking voice all the way in his wee cruise ship going, yeah, I've had them.
McCall's.
I would put them on the chopping block at the moment. What I would say is, if we have a list of breweries that are maybes, and then we come up with a list of breweries that weren't in last year but should be, because I've got two in the forefront of my mind. One that I sampled in Cornwall Pipeline. We've all had Pipeline beers this year, and I don't think any of us can deny their place in the 64 for 2024. And also, they were my brewery of the week last week. Closet should 100% be in the conversation for this year.
Yep.
On the black IPA alone.
Aye, on that one beer alone.
Unreal. And a testament to that is how quickly it disappeared on the Saturday at Gravity Festival. Unreal.
Mm-hmm. Didn't even.
Like
I think it was about an hour and a half. Something like that. It lasted about an hour and a half.
Fuck, really? Shit.
Mm-hmm.
That shows you. That shows you. I know. I agree with both of those actually. Pipeline, yes. Closet, yes. Definitely to both of those. I've got McCall's under a maybe. Another question mark, and I've had them a couple of times, but just had their supermarket beers, and that's Polly's.
Well, we had an off Polly's experience in Edinburgh, didn't we?
Oh,
yes.
Christ, so we did the triple.
But I think we know there was cellar issues.
Yeah.
Yes. So I'm not gonna hold it against them at all. I just thought I would mention it because we did talk about it on here as well.
We did.
People will be like, hypocrisy, which is, I mean, that should be the setting tagline between real breweries, real opinions is hypocrisy. Especially when you've got Flip Flop McGonagall.
I'll add that in next week's intro.
Rear Admiral Magoo is changing his mind all over the shop.
He does.
We're allowed a bit of backtracking.
So I've got a question mark over Polly's. I'll give you three here that I've got question marks. Polly's, Bullhouse, Baron.
Bullhouse, just know. Do you know what I was really inclined? And I was in there to pick up. the other shop I went to pick up Oktoberfest stuff, going back on brand for a second for the tonight's episode, was the beer shop in Portobello, and they had the full complement Bullhouse beer in there, and I noticed that they have now got variants of Frank the Tank. I didn't realise they had variants. So I'm sure it's Frank the Tank. I'm sure there's a Frank the Tank West.
Right.
So the Westie's called Frank the Tank as well, which is quite cool.
Cool.
I'm positive it was that in the cans, and it did look really cool. And I've been meaning to select them again on Bruiser, but I've never got around to it because there's always been new beers. Blame Bruiser for that, Bullhouse. That's all their fault. If they were putting so much new stuff in there, then I would be picking you.
I think Bullhouse should stay.
Roger.
I think they might deserve staying, if only for the fact that they helped us out with with our volunteering badges for the We Are Beer event that spawned our entrance video.
Aye. I don't disagree with that, to be honest with you, having Bullhouse in, to be fair. I have had, if I remember right, I had a couple of the beers this year. I think I've had a Frank the Tank, and I've had the Merck. Is it Merck?
Merck Bro.
Merck Bro, that's the one. And yeah, the beers are just as good as I remember. And I really do, as much as I initially wasn't a massive fan of the rebrand and the new labels and stuff, but the more I look at them, I think they actually are really good. They've grown on me. Other one I note that kind of triplet there was Baron. Any thoughts on those guys?
I've not had any, but I mean, you've got Baron this month, Scott, and
I was going to say I'm going to reserve judgment till about the 20th of October.
But unfortunately, the
I know
it'll probably have started by then. So
well, I'm sure I can pick it, and there's plenty of beer shops. But I would say the quality of their beer is consistently of a level that I would say they could maintain their place in the top 64.
Right. I'll put.
What we're going to tell you here is it's going to become 128.
There's a strong chance. There's actually a strong chance.
How long last week you've needed to have started to start at 128?
Probably 4 weeks
Probably
ago.
March.
Six.
we just need to have 10 matchups per day.
Exactly. Okay, another little triplet here then. Rivington, Exhale, and Boxcar.
Well, Exhale don't exist anymore.
You know what? It actually feels like a snog, marry, avoid type situation, doesn't it?
Doesn't it? So
it marry, kill, whatever it
is. We will. I'd say obviously Exhale. They move into the in memoriam.
Yes.
Slot. Boxcar, I've not had much from.
I've had none.
None boxcars.
No.
So they're a maybe slash.
They're on the chopping block.
Might slip off this year, but only just because of it's up to us to make the 64 up, and we have to make the 64 up with the beers that we've tried, as we've said. Who else? Who was the third one? Rivington Tintin.
Again, for me,
I think they should stay.
Aye.
Are they huge? They're
not huge. They're not huge by any stretch. But I just think I think any beer that I do have, they've had their collaborations with Northern Monk, amongst others. So I think they deserve a place. Purely on following. Another one that I've noticed from that can go to the in memoriam section is Inner Bay. Unfortunately, they are no more.
What was it? Queen's House? Well, it's Fife, wasn't it? It's Fife.
Aye, Dalgate Bay.
Yeah, which is a shame.
And this is the thing that we're going to discover through this list is there's some of the breweries no longer exist, which is sad. Flip side of that, and a more positive note, there's going to be breweries that are going to make it that weren't on last year.
And ones that have stepped up.
Exactly.
The Closets of the world, for example.
Bingo Banjo. Another little triplet for you guys then. Mirakai, Dart Rev, Whiplash.
Well, Whiplash. Whiplash, I think, will probably stay. Although if it came down to one Ireland number, I'd probably go Bullhouse over Whiplash, but that's just me.
No, I agree with Whiplash.
I think Whiplash should stay. I don't know. The others are
For me,
toughies.
Whiplash stay, Dark Rev stay, and then Mirakai, I'm unsure of.
For debate. I think Mirakai have localised themselves. We were talking about that just before we started.
Why?
I don't
Which I
think
think
through
is
any
fairly
fault.
a
I
bad
don't
thing.
think. I don't think it's been a deliberate move. I just haven't been up here. I'm still following just as many. Like my algorithm's not that messed up. There's still as many beer things as I would not as I've normally got, but I've not seen much recently.
In fairness, I mean, the thing is, in fairness to them, I've had them a couple of times, and nothing's. There's been no diminishing product at all. So for me, I'm leaning slightly more towards keeping them in the 64 because I do think they bring something to the table. Ollie does smash it out, and
Sours in particular, sours and big hefties.
he's good at the hefty stuff. So for me, I'm leaning more towards saying, yep, all three stay in.
Yeah,
I've got another.
right, keep them.
I've got another new to add.
Go on
Where is
then.
it? 10 empties.
Well, I'm looking through last year's list for potential ones that I can drop out, and Blue Monkey popped up. But I know you guys, you in particular, Gav, have had some of that this year, and I'm quite happy for them to stay in. But it popped into my mind, Powder Monkey, which we all had earlier in the year. They have to go on.
You can only have one monkey. It's got to be powder rather than blue.
Right. That transfer has been agreed. It was on my list as well of ones that should potentially be removed. I haven't had any of them this year, and they're probably only on the list because I had some on last year, and Gil, you had a wee bit when you were down at the London Craft Beer Festival when we had that West Coast, I think it was called California IPA, or something along those lines. So no, I agree. There's only one room for one monkey here, and it has to be Powder Monkey. So 100% agree with you there, mate.
Although I've just had a wee look at the Dana 6-pack, which is a nitro stout and nitro red ale, 6-pack of cans for 20 sheets.
What?
Blue Monkey.
Hold the phone. Blue Monkey.
the Blue Monkey, oh Christ. Thing is,
their nitro red ale is called 99 Red Baboons.
Oh, they need to stay. Quality content like that, that's a win, surely. What about
question mark that?
What about Way Out Back?
For me, out there again, they're on my list.
They're way out the back at
the
high 60s, the bleak 70s, unfortunately. Just purely on availability and visibility.
Just not had enough of them to want them being in a list, to be fair. They were on my list as well. Do you want another trio?
Go for it.
Arbor, Dog Falls, STF.
Dog Falls, I've not seen much of.
No, I mean, again, they're small and they're kind of localised in the Highlands there and doing good things. But you know, I've not had any this year. STF, I think, have to stay. They're a mainstay of bottle shops across Scotland. You know, you go into a bottle shop in Scotland, you're guaranteed to get an STF beer. I know. I think I had pictures of an STF beer sent on the chat recently, so I don't know who it was. It might have been Gav that had an STF beer recently. So I mean, if that's the case, they're making their way south. So yeah, they need to stay.
No, I agree. STF for me stay. Was that me? Maybe
They
me.
have to. I mean,
Yeah,
their
I can't remember.
tap room. They've got a union brewing kit, which I
Aye.
think is awesome. I'm looking forward to seeing what that produces. And their tap room on the cycle track there is unbelievable.
Aye,
I mean, you've got folk wakeboarding and that kicking about up and down outside the tap room. That's amazing. And I know it's no tap room of the year, but I really like the direction that they're going.
Really,
Yeah, sorry,
I-
that's
I-
Apocalypse.
I
I really like the direction that Simple Things and stuff are going in as well. I think the whole Glasgow scene is amazing.
Well, you've two tremendous points there that I want to just dissect ever so slightly. Then two that should be added. Tap room of the year should 100% be added to the fridges. Fucking all about that. Other one is as a potential to add to the list of 64, and you mentioned it there in your confusion between two breweries.
It's
was Apocalypse.
Apocalypse.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
we feeling that
definitely. I think Apocalypse are awesome.
Right.
Apocalypse.
And they could win tap room of the year basically based on wasn't it Dame Stewart and who else is tap room of the year this year?
Stuart,
Oh, you've got
Apocalypse,
Verdant to add in. You're we're fucked.
Verdant, aye, Verdant, aye.
And it's fucked.
And it's fine.
You've got your what was your expanded? It was pipeline. You went to their expanded
Aye.
central
There's
location for the summer.
pop-up tap room at the miners' welfare
Mm-hmm.
on the working men's club or something like that.
Aye.
Let's gloss over the title of working men's club.
We worked a 72-hour shift and walked us 140 miles home in the snow barefoot. 140 miles barefoot home in the snow.
Another one that I didn't have it written down, but I've just seen it, and I think you mentioned it earlier before we were recording, Cal. Was Attic.
Oh, come on, Eileen.
Fuck. Are Attic still kicking about? Or have I just imagined this in my head?
They're up the loft, mate.
Well played, sir. Well played. I just I could be completely wrong. I'm going to have to do some fierce Instagram.
Are Fierce still in? There's a question.
I don't think they are actually, off the top of my head.
Well,
Oh no, they are in. They are in. They are.
They were in last year.
All right, I take back the comments on Attic. They are still kicking about. But then, have we had enough Attic to warrant them being? And there's another question.
I've not had much. The other one I would like to throw up there, sorry Callum for speaking over you, was just while we mentioned Attic, another one that I tend to put in the same, for whatever reason, the same conversation with them would be Phantom.
Aye.
Did we have Phantom in last time?
No, I feel we did not.
That's fine.
We did
So you can stay there. They
One that
were
I'm just-
feeling this beer, weren't they?
Aye. Sad to say, and they're probably gonna have to get removed. And I'm, especially when I'm in Wales. Magic Dragon.
Oh, go on and a puff of smoke.
I think so.
And again, that's not through fucking product. That's just lack of exposure in terms of us having the beers and kind of seeing them kicking about in the scene. Because they do have some good stuff, and they are champion beers in Wales in that Wrexham area. So hats off to those guys, but I think we may have to remove them from the 64 or this year. I'm afraid.
I've got another one to add on.
Go on then.
Now this might ruffle some feathers because they're not actually a brewery.
Hey.
They are a blendery.
All right. Okay.
Okay. Scott might be able to back me up here. But crossover.
Yes.
I mean, I mean, it's 100% because it's fresh in my mind, but I'm willing to stake my however limited reputation in craft beer on the fact that if I had crossover in January, I would be talking about them as one of the best producers of beer. Let's say, so I think crossover should be in there.
And that's not solely as a result of the generous tasting portions that we were given at Gravity Festival.
Absolutely not.
I mean, it's a lot to do with it, but the beer was
what that did, Scott, was that it gave us more. It gave us more of their beers and a bigger variety of their beers than we would have had we just been drinking the ones that they were pouring, and that kind of opened the floodgates. Every single one of the beers that we had from them, we had about 5 or 6 in the tasting session. They were all fucking tremendous.
I would have said, or I'm quite comfortable saying, and I'm quite happy to be shot for that as well, that the mixed firm stuff from Crossover was the best mixed firm that was available at that festival, and Timmermans were there.
Aye.
And I think that kind of, hopefully that lets people kind of put it in perspective, what we mean by how good they were. I would quite happily gift anybody that was looking to get into kind of mixed fermi type stuff, buy and gift them a bottle of the crossover stuff and know that they'd be happy about it. The guys there are lunatics in the best way possible.
I mean, we spoke to every brewery that was at that festival last week, and
the Barthas guys as well.
I would like to go and see all of the breweries, but if I had to pick one brewery that I could go to, it would be Crossover, just to see the space and just to see firsthand what they do, how they make their beer, all the open firm.
Cool, the decision making processes that we went through during the talk, and the guy was superb, and we learned a hell of a lot. We drank a hell of a lot of beer, which was great, but we also learned a hell of a lot. Sorry, Gavin, I know we're taking up time talking about a new person, but I would have them in, and I'm trying to sell them as a contender for the 64, I guess.
No, you've gave me time because I've actually managed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6
to drink another 8 beers in the time you've been splashing away yourself.
But also discovered that there's a lot of breweries that we've had looking back through Instagram and stuff that potentially should be on it. So I will doesn't necessarily have to be quick fire, but one that I think, and they don't call it a comeback, and we've had them on the podcast as a kind of part of a guest, and we've had a couple of beers this year, and the comeback is definite in terms of the Beerfish podcast ratings, and then the arrow going up the way, Brewtown.
Yes.
Aye.
Purely based on heavy stouts.
Yeah.
And redirection of silly sod orders to the wrong for pickup rather than delivery.
And then there was the
customer service in the year.
Shark Bait, which I think, Callum, that was you that had that. Citra Dry Hop Pilsner. I think that was you, or one of us anyway.
Of Brewtowns. I had it as well.
Another brewery to pick out, which we've had this year, that could be on the list. Cal, I'm pretty sure me and you had this box at the same time, was Marble, Manchester-based brewery.
Yeah, definitely.
Yep. Not that California.
No,
maybe too young, too soon.
Too soon. We've not had any. I mean, Mark's the only one that's had the beer. It's a very small. Beer. What?
Glasgow. Enriston House.
We did. Sorry, apologise. Yes,
we had the stout, which kind of split opinion a bit, but we had the other beer as well. As a lager. It was perfectly tasty, and can imagine it doing a great turn in their tap room in their space when it opens in Falkirk. But I think it's maybe a year too soon.
Yeah, 2025. Not that California.
Yep, sounds good. Sheep and wolves clothing.
Wolf and sheep's pajamas.
Sheep and wolves. Big Matty, who's brewing
You
up.
know mine and Callum's opinion on low alcohol beer, Gavin. Doesn't think we need to. I'm joking.
But we know
We should definitely have them. They should be maintained within there because they do the hefty stuff as well, and I think they do the hefty stuff incredibly well.
I think so as well. Cal, this one's going to be down to me and you here. Lost Brewing, based down in Cornwall. We had the kind of, I think it was the white affogato stout, and then I think there was the single hop beer that you were waxing lyrical about as well.
Yeah. That they purely on that beer alone, they need to be in for me. The affogato one was phenomenal, and you had that. You never got the.
That's the one that you meant, and
You never got the Simcoe one. I had 2 cans of that, and it was just. I still think it's up there with the best beers that I've had this year. So yeah, I would like them to be included.
Lost in Town, we had them about 3 months ago, maybe 2-3 months ago, and you guys on the block just after Brew London, who are looking to target kind of big boys in the terms of lager. Is it a case of similar to Not That California for those guys?
I think so.
Mm-hmm.
Agreed there. I'm going to push this one because I've been at the tap room. We have all had their beers previously, about 2 years ago, 3 years ago, when they were on the podcast, and that's Chain House.
Mm.
I could be on a
Of
solo
which
march
Paris?
here.
Chain House fit.
Fizzle Sticks. Why can't I remember? I was fucking there. Hold on.
Preston.
Bingo.
Indeed, Preston.
I'm happy to be overruled. It's just
No, I remember the badge now. I've seen it.
Yeah, I remember how good you said it was. I can't say that I can remember. But I'm happy to be.
Roger. Two
You buy me some.
you
Some
take
Chain House,
me-
and I'll buy me some. I'll buy you some crossover.
And I'll buy
Can we
It's a
take
good
a wee couple of minutes to talk about the beers that we're drinking?
What are you
how
doing?
about I'll give you 2 quick fire and then we'll get beers because I need to reload myself. Duke it,
Okay.
Yes.
Twisted Wheel.
No.
I would say aye, probably. Well, is it too soon again, or is it are they cranking? Because I've not seen much other than obviously speaking to them on the podcast. I've not seen much in terms of substance. By substance, I mean liquid.
No,
no
I'm
great
quite happy
chat.
for them to be in.
I'm thinking they're in.
I was thinking of somebody else. Thanks, Gav, for sorting my words out there.
Who are you thinking? Brick?
Oh, I don't know, but I've just googled and just as soon as the cans came up, I was like, oh, right, I remember them. Yep, and
I think
Moment of temporary senility there, backed up by.
yes.
I think they warrant being in. I think the team over there have stepped up, and if it's purely for their taproom space, which I know you guys haven't seen, but it's phenomenal, and they've got these wee pods with like private jacuzzis.
Yes, the glampers. I remember that.
Aye.
We
need to take them up on their offer of some space.
Can we get some? Can we get some kudos for giving them? I'm just about to give them their new tagline here, which is beer that'll get you buckled. Is that
Indeed?
Beer that leaves you buckled. Is that no good?
No, that is good. That is good.
Indeed.
Right, let's go and recharge and see what we've got.
Let's go around the table.
That is one boring bastard that reads that out, is it no?
I'll change it.
I have moved on to my third German beer of the evening and second Munich beer of the evening. and it's Lager Beer Hell from Augustina. There it is,
The OG.
the OG, and this is the best that I've had this evening. I mean, narrowly ahead of the Spaten one that I've just finished, but this is
Different level.
it's just a cut above for me. Just that wee bit of extra sweetness, but still that lovely malty. The hops are there. It's quite dry.
Augustina's great, isn't it? It's
This
just
is a special beer. That really is. And again, for you think of the fucking shit that it costs you $3.50 for a can of in Tesco. Do you know what I mean? You know, there's cans in Northern Monk, like nonsense that cost you $3.50 in Tesco. You know, and you can get this a half-litre bottle for the same. It's just like,
see, when you drink it, and I know it's available in supermarkets, that means it's readily available. But if you have a bottle, well, Gavin brings himself back for his premature ejaculation. There for viewers. At least it's no over your ceiling. You've saved that. You can have a bottle. You can get a bottle of Polana, which I think is a good, by all means, a good German lager, which you can get in Tesco and various other supermarkets and stuff at a decent price. But Augustina's a different level, isn't it?
Next level. It's Championship and Premiership. It's, you know, or Premiership and Johnson's Paint Trophy. You know, Vanarama.
It's just a different.
It's Vanarama, and that you've heard us talking about. It's really not fair to compare, but we've now come to the conclusion that when you go into Aldi for beer, or you go into Aldi and you think I'm going to get some beer, you can't buy anything other than Reinbacher. This is like,
unless they've got a super good, like it's the beer festival and they've got the Baltic Porter.
Yeah. But this is like,
yes.
That's like if you think Reinbacher, that's national conference, and this is fucking Champions League winning beer.
It is unbelievable, isn't it? The Augustina's different level. I'll give a quick shout out to mine just because I managed to get Martson, and it's from this is from Manistons, which is the garden centre. It's not a garden centre. It's an empire, a farm shop built on the back of it, really top quality ice cream, and just outside Linlithgow. But this is a Flotzinger, and it's their Wiesen Marzen, which is brewed for their festival, which I believe is Rosenheimer, which is Herbstfest. But they brew it for that. Manistons managed to pick up some. I've seen a few of them. It's kind of come across in amongst that Oktoberfest lot. But it's just got that. It's a bit like the Donzoko. They'll hate me for that comparison, but in terms of colour, it's got that slightly darker golden colour, a bit clearer than the Donzoko version.
Yeah.
But it's got kind of maltier backbone to it. So if you like the malt forward stuff, more traditional style, as opposed to the light straw, this is probably a good one. And if you're going to pick up 5 or 6, you can't say much further than that. It's a great 5th or 6th number to get in your stable, if you like.
Indeed. I'll mention the beers that I've been drinking. I don't want to give them a review because
you've poured all the flair.
Well, that and they're not cold, to be honest. They've been bought this afternoon off a shelf, and I have no ways or means to refrigerate them properly.
I mean, you've not been out to your super good motel ice machine, no?
No, sadly not. But I will shout out the brewery, Bluestone Brewing, based in Newport. I've had the Stone Cold Pale Ale, and I'm currently opened a bottle of Bedrock Blonde, a blonde ale, 4%. Both are nice as they are off the shelf, so hats off to them for that. The reason why the bottle nearly exploded everywhere is because I realised I don't have a bottle opener, so I had to do the old trick off the side of the table.
See,
thankfully.
you never marked the
Thankfully,
table.
I think, yeah, exactly. So it won't be, nothing will be coming off the credit card anytime soon, unless they listen to
Well,
this
that's good.
podcast, which I highly doubt it. So
Mhm.
shout out to Bluestone Brewing, based in Newport.
It's
The
good that you've
beers,
managed
like,
to pick up some local stuff. That's excellent.
but this is like as as much as I hate doing overnights for work, I try my best to like at least pick up some local-ish beers as possible. And you think that would be relatively easy, but it's harder than I'd want it to be, and that's um, even the local pub I went to, local bar near Cardiff last night had bugger all local stuff. I'm like I said in Cloneth or just outside Clonethley this evening. Local bar did have one local beer, which was something Reverend. What was it? And it was actually based or named after a reverend. Funnily enough, the Reverend James was the name of the beer from Brains Brewery. So had that beer earlier on. So, but I'll always try and drink local as much as I can and sample some of the local breweries and take some home. So looking forward to. I've got a couple other ones from Bluestone that I'll take home and refrigerate properly and sample those throughout the week. While I'm dribbling around, Gilroy, it's your turn for Brewery of the Week. So get thinking of who you want to have for this week. And I'll mention again to the people listening to the podcast and followers that, like I said, All the Seas is going to be pouring at some point this week. I suspect the back end of this week. What is it now? The 8th of October. So I would say the 10th it should be pouring. 10th of October it will be on at Stuart. Go and check that out. You can sample All the Seas, the West Coast IPA that we brewed at the Craft Brew Kitchen, which was a shit ton of fun. We also need to decide what label we're having, FYI. Which I can pose the question to.
Yeah. Let's chat about that offline.
Indeed. Off the line. Right, it's time for our segment of Brewery of the Week, which is sponsored by no one. If you want to sponsor the segment, get in touch. beerfridgepodcast@gmail.com.
Brewery of the Week.
Did anybody in last week's episode? Did anybody pick the obvious one, given he's reviewed a certain beer festival that took place that weekend? No.
You picked
The Brewery of the Week last week was Closet.
Excellent work. Brewery of the Week this week, because I'm a week late and I was tardy, is not Closet. It's Barney's. Hosts of and organisers of and astounding leaders in Edinburgh local beer festival. The hosts of Gravity Festival this year, I think they did an astounding job at bringing together some of the best and brightest the UK. They did a really good job at facilitating what I thought was a really excellently run but local feeling and natural feeling beer festival. It felt like you were in a business space, quite intimate, kind of community hall vibes, but really excellently done with some of the best, like I say, the best and brightest. They had everybody from Timmermans and Timothy Taylor through to Closet, Moonwake, and it was all the brewers there as well. They had all the brewers pouring with the exception of Gavin's favourite, the kick flippers of beer. What are they called?
Drop Project.
That was it. They couldn't make it, but they sent all their beer in their stead. And the guys at Gravity did a really good job at stepping up and pouring their beers excellently and talking about them. They were well informed and were able to talk to you about the beers they were pouring as well, which is quite good. They had some excellent beers there. Obviously, we spoke about Crossover. They were going to be missing shout, but I thought I would go with the organisers if they hadn't been shouted out the week before. Volcano IPA, Ali and I and Callum spoke about this at the event, and we'd stopped in for a sneaky pre-festival pint
At the Southern.
at the Southern, and I had a Volcano IPA, and it's so clean and so fresh, and I think one of the best proper old school IPAs you can get in Edinburgh. It's that good level of bitterness there. It's properly served cold, and it's superbly executed. Post-mortem was unbelievable. The dill pickle beer, which I'm waiting on getting the nod from Ali to see it's available in cans, was shocking in all the right ways. I don't know if I could have a 440. I know somebody in the house who absolutely could handle a 440 with ease, but it was exactly what it was meant to taste like, and it was executed so well. A daft idea, run with, and executed perfectly. So Barney's is my shout. They did a really good job with the beer festival. Thankfully, they've already announced they're coming back next year. So if you didn't get a ticket this year's one, watch and listen to the content that we created, which should give you a good kind of feel for things. Look at their get their account followed on Instagram immediately, and you'll see when the next festival is going to be. And obviously, nip in. Earlier in the year, we had a great day or evening at the Bullfinch as well. You can go in there, some great beers. And despite HMRC's best attempts at pulling a Rangers on them, hopefully Summer Hall, the space that they brew in and the space that brews the festival, will be back singing and dancing before long, as well as they rightly dispute whatever issue it is they've got going on. But Barney's will endure, and they're going for strength, and Ali's doing a great job with them as well. And enjoyed all the talks, all the everything there was excellent. It was we had a great day, and they're definitely my brewery of the week for sure.
Hats off to the team at Barney's. Like Callum said last week, we'll hopefully try and get Ali on over the next couple of weeks to discuss further the aftermath of Gravity. But yes, well deserved. Gravity is this week's brewery of
the week.
Barney's
Beautiful. What did I say?
Gravity.
Did I say Gravity? No, I didn't.
This week's brewery of the week is Gravity.
Is that what I said?
You'll have to listen. You'll have to. The tail of the tape will not lie.
It's fine.
No.
It's
fine. When you
Professor McMillan.
Herr McMillan.
Hi. Gents, I've got nothing.
Can you see the same shit?
I've got nothing else written down on my bit of paper here to run through.
Me
Anything
neither.
else you want to mention?
9.
Not at all. Drink good Oktoberfest beer. Lots.
Yes, go and source yourself some good Oktoberfest beer, like Gil said earlier. Search out that kind of big six, and you will not be disappointed with those bad boys. But by all means, go and check out local breweries' fest beers as well. I'm sure they'll be just as good. If you're listening this far in the podcast, thank you once again. You can show your support by giving us a 5-star rating or giving us a wee subscribe and a follow and hitting that ding-a-ling-a-ling as well. You can show your official support by heading to patreon.com/Beer Fridge Podcast, where you'll gain access to every single episode early, and you should and probably will get potentially a bottle of all the C's when we receive it as well. So patreon.com/Beer Fridge Podcast. For myself, Gav, Scott, and Cal, until next time, cheerio.
Hello.
1, 2,